In today's video, we're going to cover the top 5 mistakes that you should avoid when you're preparing your EB2 NIW application.
Hey, I'm Oscar and I'm a scientist. Mistake number one is using outdated forms or no signature on the forms. So when you have to prepare your case for EB2 NIW, you'll have to fill out some forms. Those are government forms. And my recommendation here is to not trust anything other than the USCIS official website. Do not trust my website or anyone else's website because USCIS updates these forms from time to time. And the only way you're going to guarantee that you have the most updated one is to go to a website like uscis.gov slash and the name of the form. I-140 is an example. So let's actually open this and see what it looks like. And by the way, I have a specific video on websites that can help you preparing your application. I'll leave a link here in the corner, and this is one of the websites that I recommend there. So this is for I-140. You'll have different information, including the most updated version of the form and the instructions for the form. So if you have doubts, you can come here and actually check what you're looking for. You have things like where you have to submit this form. You have the filing fee that you have to pay. So this is an absolute must when you're preparing your petition. Same for the other forms. The other mistake is to forgetting to put a signature at the end of the form, and there are forms where you have to sign in different places. So always go through the form after you're done and make sure you double and triple check that you sign everything you had to sign, and use black ink to sign these forms. And that's something that you will see in the instructions of the forms as well. By the way, if you don't do any of this, your petition, your whole petition will be rejected by USCIS and you'll have to resubmit it. Mistake number two is insufficient evidence. Remember that you not only have to fill out a form, you have to provide evidence that you fulfill the requirements for this green card category. In this green card category, you're asking the government to waive the job offer requirement that is typical for employment-based green cards. So the typical I-140 package includes a table of contents, a list of documents. So that's for the USDA officers to have an easy time following what you're submitting. And then forms and fees. That's what we just talked about. And then the cover letter where you're explaining the officer what your petition is all about. And then exhibits, and that's where you put all the evidence that you need to include to substantiate all the claims that you're making in your cover letter. So there are different requirements that you need to fulfill. For example, for this category, the matter of Danasar has 3 prongs that you have to meet. And I have a specific video on that. I leave it here in the corner. You can also go to my website and read about it. You need to provide the evidence to really back up all the claims that you're making. If you don't do that, you're not going to be successful in your petition. Mistake number 3 is poor presentation in the cover letter. The cover letter is really the central piece of your I-140 petition. This is not only about a form. If it was so easy, I wouldn't be making all these videos. You would just take the form, fill it out, and that's it. You have to provide evidence, and that is done by writing a letter to the officer to explain that you are fulfilling each and every criteria that the USCIS is expecting you to fulfill. You have to use easy to understand language because these officers, they don't know as much as you about your field of endeavor, and you have to make it digestible. It has to be kind of enjoyable to read. It cannot be boring. It cannot be a super long text because people lose attention when something is super boring. And the USCIS officers, they have limited time to read your petition. I will be making specific videos about this because this is very important. And also I have already a blog post about this topic in my website. You can go there and read that already. But this is a mistake that you should not be making because if you don't make a good case in your cover letter, then you are likely not to be successful. Mistake number 4 is lacking confidence or being too confident. Both are bad. So a lot of people get caught up by these terms of exceptional ability, national interest, national importance, substantial merit, and yeah, those are grandiose words and terms. But at the end of the day, you have to look at what is asked of you objectively, and if you qualify, you shouldn't be discouraged. You should not be lacking confidence. If you think that maybe you don't meet something, maybe there's avenues for you to work on your profile, and in a few months or a couple of years, you can start writing your petition. So there's always a path for you. On the other hand, being overconfident is also a problem, because if you are too confident, you may not write a good cover letter because you are so confident that you think that everyone will recognize that you meet all the criteria. But you actually have to write about each criteria. You have to provide the evidence. And if you don't do that, then it really doesn't matter that you actually have everything that is asked of you to have. You have to show it, and you have to show it convincingly. Finally, mistake number 5 is not to have recommendation letters or having weak recommendation letters. Recommendation letters are not mandatory, but in my opinion, they can help your case in a variety of ways. And I have a specific video that I leave a link here in the corner so you can see what the recommendation letters are about, what is the structure that I think is effective to have a good letter of recommendation, how do you go about selecting the recommenders, asking them to write the letters for you, and in what instances you can use recommendation letters, or for what applications the recommendation letters are good for. And in my opinion, they can be used for almost everything from justifying the number of years of experience to showing that your endeavor is of national importance, to showing that you are well positioned, to show if you're a scientist that your work is cited and is also um, publicly acclaimed. So there are a lot of things that you can do with the recommendation letters, and even meeting the third prong, the on-balance prong. There's also cases where a recommendation letter can be helpful, in my opinion. So it is a mistake, in my opinion, to not have them or to have weak recommendation letters. So if you go to that video or my blog post where I talk about those recommendation letters, you will find out how to have good recommendation letters that can help your case to have more chances of success, which is why we're all doing this, why we are all here. So those are my 5 mistakes to avoid. If you have any question, please leave it in the comments below. Also, if you have ideas on subjects that we should touch on in future videos, please leave some comments and I will be very happy to read them, and hopefully we can prioritize what to discuss in these videos.
If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, visit my website eb2niw.info.